Before we get started, I'd like to do a quick audio test. Can you please type in the Q&A box if you can hear me? Hello, and welcome to our webinar, Difficult but Doable, Enrollment Management and Marketing in a Pandemic, of our series, Adapting to COVID-19, Higher Ed and the Transition to Online Learning. We hope this webinar series is a useful, valuable resource for you. Please connect with us using the hashtags MCCA webinar, COVID-19, and Better Together. In today's session, you will hear from 4 Missouri enrollment managers and marketers as they share trends they're currently seeing as well as innovative strategies. If you have any questions, please type them in the Q&A box and we will get to them at the end. Our presenters today are Matt Hubert with St. Louis Community College, Jessica Gamera with Metropolitan Community College, Carrie Greer with Jefferson County Community College, Jordan Schreiber with Ozarks Technical Community College. Matt Hubert is currently the district-wide Director of Enrollment Management at St. Louis Community College. Prior to his role in St. Louis, Matt was the Director of Admissions at HACC, Central Pennsylvania's Community College, having spent the beginning of his higher education career in various positions within admissions at Doane College, Upper Iowa University, and Shepherd University. A native of the Midwest, Matt graduated with a Bachelor of Music Education from the University of Missouri, St. Louis. He holds a master's degree in Higher Education Administration from the University of Nebraska, Lincoln, and is currently completing his dissertation for a Doctorate of Education from Northeastern University in Boston. I will now hand it over to Matt.
Thank you so much. I didn't realize they were going to read the introduction. I might have made that a little shorter, but I'm excited to be with everyone today and talk about enrollment management during this difficult time. First, want to just start off by mentioning appreciation to my colleagues at St. Louis Community College, as well as our marketing folks and our admissions enrollment services folks there, because they've really helped in putting this together. So a little bit about St. Louis Community College. Wanted to provide you with an overview. And so want to make sure that this page is presenting. Everyone should be able to see a little bit about the college. We occupy over 200 square acres of land throughout the St. Louis region. We are St. Louis's largest college and 3rd largest in the state in terms of overall colleges. So this gives you a little bit of information about us there. Just under 17,500 students in our fall census, and give you a little bit of information about the offerings that we provide. But again, I want to focus this on our strategies and things that we're doing and share them with you in the short amount of time that we have here. So we are very fortunate at the college in that we have a voice over IP telephone service, meaning that our phone lines, we were able to use the soft phone feature, and our staff were able to take calls to their main phone numbers at home. We were also very fortunate in that we partner with a call center that enabled us to help handle some of our incoming calls right when we were working on getting folks access to the internet and access to our telephones and laptops and all of that happened. So that was very important. Another thing that we use is Skype or Link with instant messaging. It really allows all of our areas to keep in touch with one another, especially as we work from home. We have a product called Navigate that the college has invested in that we use specifically in academic advising to schedule appointments, and so that's been a good product that we've been able to use to get appointments for students scheduled. Virtual meetings are something I'm sure everyone's doing. We've been very fortunate in that we can use our Skype platform or link, as some call it, to facilitate that happening. And other products that we've used include Zoom as well. I know a lot of schools are probably familiar with that. Next, I think one thing that we've really found that's been beneficial is allowing our staff, specifically in admissions and enrollment services, to connect with school counselors and prospective students, making connections with them either via email or on the phone, or even text messaging, which we're planning to roll on board pretty soon here. Just keeps them in connection with the college and gives them an idea of what's going to be happening and allows us to provide them with as much information as we have. We're also doing some retention calls. A lot of our academic advising staff are facilitating those, reaching out to students, making sure that they get enrolled for the summer and for fall. And then the other thing that one of my colleagues brought up is our increased cross-team communications. It seems like even though we are in this pandemic and we are in an online environment, we've been able to reach across the aisle to our other colleagues in other areas such as finance, academic affairs. We reside within student affairs at St. Louis Community College. So finance, all those other folks, we've been really able to increase our communications and work with them even closer during this time. As most of you all have done, we've updated our website significantly, added a COVID-19 web page. I provided the link there for you all if you would like to take a look at it. Another huge thing that we did was we partnered with our instructional resources colleagues who had already set up a live chat system for the library, and we previously used it over winter break to assist students, specifically in our areas of admissions and enrollment services, financial aid, and advising. So many of those staff were familiar with this product, but we have now enabled this for several different units within student affairs where they're able to live chat with students, prospective or current students, on our website. And another key, I don't know if I'd call it a strategy, but it's incredibly important, is that we've updated web pages, changing the hours, changing the options, the communications options that they have available, and making sure that we update our web pages and update the processes that we're making accommodations for so that students are able to access them remotely. We're also, much like other institutions, looking at the financial strategies that we can employ, and I would say, while I use the word strategy, I really mean how can we assist students, how can we enable them to continue their education and reach that desired outcome. We've been looking at different ways that we've offered scholarships, and we've also been looking at and focused on how we're going to disperse emergency funds, the CARE Act funds to students. Our financial aid is doing a great job of putting together a game plan for that as we speak. We've also had to relook at some processes, specifically eliminating paper forms. So for one example of that is we currently require students to complete a change of major form to change their major officially. Our registrar and her team went to work on moving that to an online platform through a product called SmartSheet, and I've included that logo there for you. And they've been able to do this with several processes that typically would require a paper form to be completed and submitted to one of our admissions and enrollment services offices. The other issue that we've seen is students being able to access to get us official copies of their high school transcripts. And so we've been partnering with our IT colleagues as well as our registrar staff to see how we can bring about ways for students to submit as close to official documentation of those items that would satisfy our financial aid requirements as well as our institutional documentation guidelines. And so we're looking at some more ways to be able to allow students to self-submit documents or at least screenshots of documents during the specific period of time to allow us to move their admission department forward, or their admission with the college forward. Another shout out I'll give is to our marketing folks. We are very fortunate in that we have some really solid marketing staff at the college, and they've really doubled down on our social media. There's an example of that on here. But we've also been able to double down on direct marketing, and really what that means are postcards. So if you see the two images on the screen, these are both items that we sent out in 2 rounds. We initially targeted these for students regardless of the COVID-19. This was a plan that we had in action before COVID-19 became a pandemic. However, once that did, we realized we should probably be reaching back out to the same group of students and telling them about the options that we have at St. Louis Community College. Certainly with the research showing that students are potentially looking at staying closer to home this fall, we wanted to make sure that they knew they have opportunities at the college and can certainly transfer those to four-year institutions with the Core 42 or motor courses. We've also increased our availability and announcements on the radio and TV. That was previously planned, but I think that we've seen the data showing that more folks are viewing TV or TV broadcast as well as radio broadcast during this time. And then the other thing that we've done is utilize PeachJar. And for those of you not familiar with it, I would encourage you to visit peachjar.com. And I would tell you that this is the new version of a flyer that you would typically send home with your high school senior or your high school student. So gone are the days where they send out paper flyers and say, take this home to your parents. Now they use a product called PeachJar, and we've purchased access to that platform and have been able to send out communications about different items and different opportunities that we have across a large number of school districts in the St. Louis region. I can say 33 specific high schools in particular. And students seem to be, parents now that they're not interacting with schools as much, seem to be appreciating this mobile platform to be able to send those kind of notices and information to them. The last thing I'll say before I open it up to my colleagues on here is just the importance of communication. We are very fortunate in that, although we are 5 locations across a large span of area, we have already had meetings in place to where that keeps us connected. And through the use of our mobile platforms and our Skype and Link product, we can keep in touch with each other pretty quickly. But that's been very important. And it's also been important for our leadership to keep us informed on the changes and decisions that are happening at the college. I think all of those things, in combination with some of the things that I previously mentioned, have really put us out in a good light and able to help students as quickly as we can in this experience. So I'll turn it over to my colleagues to address the rest of the items for the webinar.
Thanks so much, Matt. Our next presenter is Jessica Gamera. She is an admissions coordinator with Metropolitan Community College. Jessica started with MCC in 2014 with the Maplewood campus before transitioning to the Penn Valley campus. As an admissions coordinator for MCC Penn Valley, she assists students with the enrollment process from initial inquiry to enrollment, explore academic programs, understand degree requirements, and connect students with the resources available to meet their goals. She hopes to grow in MCC and continue to work with community college students as they reach their educational goals. Jessica and her husband, Alvaro, are about to celebrate their son, Rafael's 2-year birthday in August. I will now turn it over to Jessica.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. So, as she said, I've been with MCC for about 5 years now, and I guess you could call me an admissions rep, if you will. Our title is admissions coordinator. So I'm kind of from that lens where I'm going to talk a lot about all of the processes we're working with and the students we've been talking with. We are also a multi-district school. So I'm at the Penn Valley campus, right? But also we have had great communication with each other. Here we go. All right, so our first response kind of happened over spring break. We actually exited about a day early. So from the faculty staff side, it was a little bit sudden. I can vividly remember Thursday afternoon, kind of cleaning up, thinking, oh, I have tomorrow, Friday, I'll get the rest of my desk in order, because we just finished like a 1,200 person event. And then we got an email saying, hey, you need to go home. Spring break is starting a day early due to COVID-19. Here's what's going on. And it's kind of like, oh, all right, I guess we'll hear what happens next. So it already set the tone of just being flexible. This is a serious situation, but we're all going to have to roll with it and be part of that team. So all of us were definitely jumping in with both feet. We had a lot of concerns, but it was always from the support side of helping with students. IT was definitely working tirelessly, to get equipment and access to all of us. Training started almost immediately, and staff was assisting where we could. So a lot of us, even though I'm in admissions, my role changed a lot within the last few weeks. And now we're having the opportunity to kind of come back in that admissions enrollment role. Students, a lot of their concerns was, of course, how am I going to do my class, right? Most of them were really worried about, I'm not going to be in person now, so how's this going to affect me academically? How can I get the services I need? Especially some of our specialty programs like nursing, allied health, graphic design. Testing is still a big concern all around for new and current students. How are they going to complete it? Dates when we're going to be back on campus, any technology problems, because not all of our students had technology at home. That's always a big thing we have at MCC. We have technology for you and everything's on campus. Well, now we're not on campus. So what processes can we figure out as MCC to support our students? Graduation, we had a lot of students graduate this semester and then they weren't able to come on campus. So they were worried about that as well. And when will enrollment open? All right, we originally had it set for April 6th. So we put out information saying that we'll be pushed back. And so that was a big concern about how am I going to get enrolled for summer, getting with my degree plan. So all of our steps, again, like I said, all hands on deck. We had campaigns. So we did a big Wolfpack check-in where we had everyone contact every single student at Metropolitan Community College. And we split that up among campuses. And you never knew who you were going to talk to and what was going on. And everyone called from all over the board. So we also had, and that went, by the way, that went really well. I think it was on the whole really positive campaign. And then we also could hear the concerns from students, right? We also sent out a survey through their email, but then we got to hear their stories as well, saying, well, here's what I'm worried about. Here's what's happening in my class. I'm having technology issues, or that, hey, everything's been amazing. And really, for the most part, our faculty and staff have just been fantastic, and they've really supported our students. And during this trying time, they really felt, I think, supported during this time. So just stressing that as a whole, I think that's important for all of our students to feel that, hey, we're all in this together and we're here for you. We continue with weekly check-ins. We're hearing from our chancellor every week, and we have a lot of Zoom meetings. So we use Zoom a lot at MCC. So some barriers to enrollment we've already seen is assessment testing. I don't think I'm a stranger in saying that with everyone who's in this webinar today. At first, AccuPlacer really didn't allow us to do remote testing, and recently, even this week, there's now a process for remote testing, but it seems East College is going to do it a little differently. So I know we're in the process of figuring that out. We're actually testing some remote testing Friday and Monday through Zoom. So we're testing that out first, but we may be looking at some other assessment means. And we're still using our previous processes where we look at ACT scores as well as high school transcripts, because depending on their GPA and other factors, that may be that they may not even need to do assessment testing. Another barrier we had was that records and documents, similar to what Matt said, we're looking at other processes because we can't have students turn it in person. So we're still recommending by mail and electronic, especially transcripts, if they can use parchment or National Clearinghouse. We're really urging them to do that more. I personally, for financial aid documents specifically, so on the Penn Valley campus, something we will do is if they can email PDF documents from their student email to our department email, they will accept those as documents. So we recommend different PDF apps, which we've actually been using even before the situation, and now this is just kind of moving forward. So if you haven't, a lot of students have smartphones, right? Really recommend them download a free PDF app where you can just take a picture of your document and then you're able to load it into an email. So PDF Extra, Google PDF, there's a lot of different ones just depending on the student's phone. So this is a really great way to continue on with that financial aid process, at least from us. So, and then just technology, like I was saying, not all students have it. They don't all have hotspots or laptops, just kind of depends on what's going on in some of the classes they may take. So we did roll out an initiative where we have purchased hotspots and laptops for our students to rent out for the time being. And we also have supportive funds, kind of emergency funds, similar to what Matt was talking about, that we're depending on the need and what's going on, they may qualify for those funds. We also have a scholarship right now called Director's Choice. So that's really being evaluated for depending on the student and their need that they need to meet. We're giving rolling that out as well. Circumstances change, so other supportive initiatives we're sending out food vouchers, we're sending out funds possibly for daycare and housing, because those are always kind of the biggest concerns. It is by a case-by-case basis. but we are really working to try and keep those students in classes, continuing on, reaching towards their goals. So I think that's kind of the underlying thing we're working towards. And outreach communication has been a big piece. So just how do we get students, how do we even reach them, right? So now there's a lot more phone calls, we're emailing a lot as well, and we definitely utilize Zoom quite a bit. Personally for me, I'm setting up a lot of student appointments, which I would have done before, but sometimes I would have preferred them to come on campus. So I could really hit everything. I could use our technology to make sure everything was ready to go. And if they needed to talk to someone else, then it would all be on campus, right? Well, now we have to just shift that. And so I just create these student appointments and kind of get them with who I need to. We now use Zoom rooms. So I may invite maybe a financial aid advisor or an academic advisor in that same room with me when talking with a student and figuring out those next steps. From the high school perspective, we're in contact with our high school counselors, and we're setting up personal meetings with them right now. So they're able to then reach out to their seniors, and we're going to set up Zoom meetings and just have small presentations in that way. Yep, which I kind of skipped ahead a little bit. That's on my switching to virtual piece. So with going virtual, so we're setting up those Zoom meetings already. We're going to maybe have small groups and talk about admissions. Here's what to do next. Here's how you can do everything virtually. All right, here's all those steps, and kind of really taking the guesswork out for the students. We're having tours and events virtually, and also some specialty events such as A+ nights. We have a number of allied health and nursing programs, so we may have some presentations that focus on those groups, so that if they want to know more information about that admissions process, they can, of course, log in there. The technology we mainly use, I know I mentioned Zoom. We're using Jive for our phones. Radius is what we've been using beforehand. So, excuse me, we're still rolling out events with Radius, which also has campaign email communication and a way to keep notes. And once a student is a student, we actually use Starfish, which has kind of a caseload component. And so there's, they have almost an enrollment team with their own advisors and have their own student service specialists, and as well as admissions will still be in a supportive role as well. So a big part of how it's changed, like I was talking about, there's that non-campus environment. So same information, but now we just have to really think outside the box. And instead of bringing you on campus, how can I help you do everything basically in your pajama pants, right? And that's a lot of what I say, like, hey, now it's the comfort from your home, and here's how you can do this. Personally, I'm even researching different types of phone. So I'm pretty fortunate I am married to a software engineer, so he can kind of help me a little bit with those technologies, like, oh, if someone has an iPhone, here's what they can use. Because I know I have an Android and a Google phone, so I'm just trying to know even, well, what phone would you have, and what's the easiest way I could help you kind of get that information to us. So that's another way we can sometimes be innovative. And we're using a lot of our team members in additional roles. Right now, all of our full-time employees are working. So someone who would maybe be, as we would call it, the front line, like our student service specialist, well, now they're not at the front desk to kind of help those walk-ins. So how is their role changing? They're going to be calling out a lot more, maybe assisting us with some of those events and reaching out to students. So on a positive note, it's really created that big team environment where we were already supporting each other, but even more so, we're starting to really do a lot more cross-training, learn each other's roles and what we need to do.
We might have lost her, so I will go ahead and move on to our next presenter. Carrie Greer enrolled as a student at Jefferson College in fall 1999 and loved it so much that she never left. She began her career as the faculty secretary in 2002. Carrie moved to Student Services in 2006, where she served as a recruiter and as an academic advisor before becoming the Director of Admissions in January 2020. Carrie earned her Associate of Arts degree from Jefferson College and her bachelor's degree in communication and master's degree in adult and higher education from the University of Missouri, St. Louis. Carrie is a proud third-generation community college graduate, and she loves witnessing the transformative effects that education can have on someone's life. Carrie resides in Jefferson County with her husband and 3-year-old twins, who make working from home a true adventure. I can definitely believe that. Carrie, I'll hand it over to you.
All right, thank you, Kaylin. And so as Kaylin mentioned, I work for Jefferson College, and we are a small institution in Jefferson County, Missouri. And so we have right at 4,200 students, and we have our main campus in Hillsborough with 2 small satellite locations in other ends of the county. So we are brand new to this party. The admissions office at Jefferson College was just split off from our larger enrollment services division in January of this year to focus more on recruitment efforts. So we are developing office procedures at the same time that we're transitioning to a virtual environment. We have 4 staff members, and we still are closely connected to enrollment services, which houses our advisors, and our registrar's office, which has retained the admissions application and some of that admissions policy. As a division, our student services area is very much focused on face-to-face interaction. Up until now, we've had very little virtual presence beyond our website because we really focus on walk-in students and just helping those students as they show up. So this has been a transition for our whole campus. In admissions, while we've been doing some research, as of right now, all of our processes are done manually, and we do not have a CRM. So that has also made this transition a little bit of an adventure for all of us. So the strategies that we have employed during the pandemic, it was Friday, March 13th when Jefferson College made the call initially to postpone or extend our spring break and go virtual for 2 weeks. And then, of course, we have since extended the closure. So we were able to get our office up and running virtually within 3 days. And the first thing that we had to do was figure out how to advise and enroll the 214 students that we had signed up for on-site registration at area high schools. So luckily, our 2 recruiters are also trained as advisors. So they have been working with this population of students via phone, Google Meet, as well as email to get them enrolled. The next thing we did was implement a live chat feature on our web pages, and I collaborated a lot with our library staff who have already had chat established. As Matt mentioned, they do that at St. Louis Community College as well. We actually use Pure Chat right now, which is a free chat software. And so that is working out very well for us. We are a Google school, so we had a whole slate of wonderful features that were just sitting out there waiting for us to utilize. So we do a lot of our office communication via Hangouts on Google. Google Meet is how we do our video conferencing and quote-unquote face-to-face meetings. And then recently we were able to get some Google Voice accounts that have also made that phone outreach a lot easier for our staff. We did also enhance our web pages, particularly in admissions. We put staff biographies out on our pages to make those a little bit more welcoming, and we've moved to using a centralized email to funnel communication. So that is admissions@jeffco.edu. We initially did a lot of research since we really are a new office. We did a lot of research looking out across the state at what other colleges are doing, applied to some schools, looked at enrollment procedures, and then compared and kind of pulled out those best practices that we thought would work for our office. I also reached out to a lot of staff at other institutions as well as across our campus to figure out the best way to transition our office. This has also been a great process for us in that we've been able to make things easier for students, to streamline some processes that maybe needed work, but that we didn't have time to get to, particularly our follow-up and communication to students after they apply. So we have been able to streamline that and work with other departments in order to get students their login information in a more timely fashion to get them registered for classes. And as a whole, Jefferson College created 2 online information portals for students. You can see one there in the screenshot, our COVID-19 web pages, and that just has up-to-the-minute information for students. And we have several frequently asked question documents out there as well. And then within student services, we put together a Blackboard portal for students So all of our current students were enrolled in this Blackboard shell, and they have quick access to all of our various departments. We do offer, as a college, emergency financial assistance through our Jefferson College Foundation, and then we have recently created a WC or withdraw in crisis grade option for students. So that is specifically for students who are no longer able to complete their classes due to a COVID-19 related situation. And then, as many of my colleagues have pointed out already, we did encounter a couple hurdles when transitioning to this remote environment. The first one of which was placement testing. So what we were hearing from students was that if they did not already meet our multiple measures, they didn't have an option to enroll. And initially, when we thought we were only going to be closed for a couple weeks, this wasn't as big of an issue. But we really didn't want students waiting a month or two to be able to enroll for classes. So our whole campus pulled together. Our testing center figured out how to do remote AccuPlacer testing via Zoom Pro software, and they got that up and running last week. Our admissions assistant has developed a process for tracking those students and getting them through that pipeline. Of course, we have come across some technological challenges and communication challenges, like one of our other presenters pointed out, Jefferson County is a rural area. We don't have great internet service in many parts of the county. So the campus did offer some hotspots for students. We have a hotspot on our blue parking lot that anyone can access. And then internet service providers have provided free internet to our students, so that has really been helpful. We have a large population of students that have never before logged into Blackboard, never before taken an online class, and I'll be first to admit that my technological skills could use some improvement. So we've all been in this together. We've all been helping each other to transition and to figure out this new technology. And then as far as communication, since we still advise students, what we found is, email is wonderful, but it does have limitations. It just takes longer a lot of times to assist students in this remote process. So we're trying to recognize that and to be patient. You can't help as many students at one time. Sometimes some of that communication and those messages get lost. And of course, as Kaylin mentioned in my biography, I have 2-year-old twins. So, those technical difficulties, those interruptions, they happen. And we just try to work through that as that arises. And then the other two issues, or those overarching issues that we're all facing, uncertainty. We don't know how long the campus closure is going to last. We don't know what things are going to look like for the fall. And then budget. In terms of the larger statewide budget and institutional budget, but also the fact that we're a brand new office. We don't really have a budget right now. So we've been kind of borrowing, and stealing our resources in order to serve our students. And the rest of our campus has been very obliging in making that happen for us. So finally, just some trends we're seeing with our students and where we think this is going. Students really want that personal connection in a virtual format. So something that's very important to me now is improving on our virtual campus visit. So luckily, we do have an aerial tour and some pictures on our website, but we hope to take that to the next level and really give students a feel for our campus, even if they can't come see us in person. Just today, 2 of our staff members created some Facebook videos to help walk students through the admissions process. And we're hoping to potentially expand on that and do some marketing campaigns that way. And then we are currently in the process of figuring out how to transition all of our upcoming events and orientations to that virtual setting, because on our campus we're talking about that social distancing procedures are going to be in effect for quite a while. So one of the big things we do is our pre-admission student sessions for prospective students, and we will be rolling those out in Google Meet the week of May 4th. As far as marketing, we're really focused on safety, on making connections, on being here for students. Our new marketing campaign is going to be Stay Close, Then Go Far. And our marketing department has really started doing a lot of outreach to students. As of right now, we are not going to charge any online fees for summer classes, as the majority of our summer classes will now be offered online. And we're currently trying to figure out some enrollment incentives for the fall semester as well. And then these last 3 points are just things that I have seen from talking to colleagues and from doing a lot of research in the last couple weeks. I was actually the transfer advisor before coming to the admissions office. And what I have seen is, this easy transfer between schools means that students really expect enrollment to be seamless. And if you don't have what they want, they'll go somewhere else. Students really don't see boundaries like we see boundaries. So it's important to make these virtual processes very easy for students. And it's also important for all of us to work together because we're all in this together. We all have the same goal, and we need to help these students. Something we've seen in admissions, we are the front lines. We hear the concerns from students, and so we can't be afraid to take those concerns forward. For example, the placement testing. If there is a barrier to enrollment, it is up to us to help smooth the way. And I am not a pessimist, even though our enrollment report is a little terrifying right now, but I do think that there are opportunities for community colleges. We're hearing from families that maybe weren't looking at us at first, but now because of changes in situation, because of the uncertainty, community college is looking like a really viable option. So we are just going to continue to promote those opportunities to our students. And that is all I have.
Presenter, Jordan Schreiber has served as the Director of Student Recruitment at Ozarks Technical Community College since October 2018. Before moving into the director's role, she worked as an admissions representative for OTC for 2.5 years. She has also taught philosophy and religion courses as an adjunct instructor since 2014 and is a proud graduate of OTC. When she isn't helping students get enrolled at OTC, she enjoys hanging out with her pups and now new coworkers, Puggy, Pop-Tart, and Pancake. I love the alliteration, and I love those names. I'll now hand it over to Jordan.
Thank you so much, Kaylin. Yes, Pop-Tart and Pancake are very close in age, and we nickname them the Breakfast Club. So they are a blast, but they're also kind of unruly as coworkers. But anyway, thank you so much for having me today. I'm excited to participate, to share what OTC is doing, and more importantly, I've enjoyed learning from my colleagues across the state about new strategies as we seek to establish best practices in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic to help with our enrollment management. So jumping right in, I would imagine that most colleges have done this. When we made this transition to online, our first priority was how do we support our current students? What do we do to help them transition to this? So our first step was to create a new centralized website for supports, referrals, and requests. So eliminating those barriers to getting help. And at this centralized website, they can schedule an appointment, a Zoom or phone appointment through Acuity scheduling. That's something we didn't have prior to the COVID-19 crisis, but it is something that I think we will continue to use as we move forward. It has been an awesome tool to allow students to schedule appointments with admissions, advising, counseling, financial aid, the IT help desk, library, student account services, and tutoring. So basically, whatever department you're looking for, you name it, we can schedule an appointment with it. So that is what we have really enjoyed using. Also on that centralized page, we have resource quick links. So if a student isn't looking to set up an appointment but wants to at least check out some information, we have links to various departments across the college, all located in that one spot. And then we also have a prominent live chat feature. So OTC does have an AI chat bot, OBOT, and OBOT was our primary means of helping people on the website prior to this crisis. But now we have re-emphasized our need for this live chat, where we have our faculty and staff on there for extended hours throughout the week from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. and then on the weekends from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. So we always have people there. We have a large arsenal of staff ready to serve our students and be there so they can have that one-on-one assistance to get the help they need. So this is just a screenshot of our Get Help site. So basically a student can go to OTC's homepage and there's a big button that says Need Help? Get Help. And here it is. When they get here, they can schedule an appointment or get the live chat help, call us. They can also request resources. We've realized that students obviously may need something in this crisis that is outside the realm of academics. So this is a place where they can tell us what is going on. They can tell us that they have a loss of income, that they're taking care of children, that there are just some additional resources that they could use during this time, and that way we can get them connected pretty quickly. So moving a little outward from our support of just getting our students transitioned to that online environment, we're starting to look at registration for summer and fall, of course. So in our support of that, getting to that point, we've had a big focus on our social media, and we had an OTC Instagram takeover by academic advisors, and we currently have plans to expand that to other student services related departments. We know students may know that we have a lot of resources available, but we want them to know that even though they can't come see us face-to-face, we are here and we are there to support them whenever they need us. So getting them acquainted with those resources, telling them how our operations have changed, just being ready to do that. We also did a Help Live session on Facebook, and since that was published, we've had 2,600 views to that video, which is pretty amazing. And we're hoping that that can help with, as my colleagues have said earlier, that it can take a lot longer through email to assist a student. So we're hoping that that can help cut off some of that overwhelming need that may hit our academic advisors and our other student services staff during registration time, so students can get some self-help, but if they need additional assistance, of course, we're here. We also did an all-student call campaign. We did one right after we went to the online environment to check in with our students and see how things are going. This was really an all-hands-on-deck approach. We called thousands of students in the span of a week. And for those that indicated they needed some additional assistance or had additional need, we've done follow-up outreach for them as well. So as most of the other schools have said, we have transitioned to virtual events. So looking towards our enrollment moving forward, we have had OTC Live Facebook events. We did the registration help session. We also did a session, an admissions Q&A with frequently asked questions for prospective students and new applicants. And during that session, that was last Thursday, we had 128 students view the session live with us with over 100 questions asked, which really showed us that they need our assistance during this time. There's a great level of uncertainty and anxiety, so we wanted to make sure that we step up and help them during this time to where they're getting their questions answered. And this is something we plan to continue as we move forward with regular events to help out our students. Then kind of in the same line that Carrie was talking, the virtual tour of campus. We don't currently have a virtual tour, but we are working on creating a series of tours of our main divisions, technical education, allied health, and general education and resources, to post on our social media to allow students to see campus, to get to know some of our labs, to see what they're going to see when they do eventually get to return. And that'll be guided by student ambassadors. And we've seen some great examples of those being done, even with a ghost town right now. So we hope to get those up in the next few weeks so that students can get a feel for what campus will be like when they do eventually get to join us again. Then, as I mentioned before, we're doing individual Zoom and phone appointments with admissions representatives. That is something that when we put it out there, we didn't know how popular it would be, but it's something that we're averaging probably 3 to 6 appointments during the day with, of course, impromptu appointments coming up with phone and email and Zoom as well. But it has really been something students have latched onto. I think Zoom especially is a way for students to have that face-to-face interaction without, without risking their safety to come in and meet with someone. And now we're transitioning, now that we've started registration, which for us started April 21st, so we are just now getting into registration for summer and fall. We are going to be offering our schools group Zoom sessions using the help of our counselors. We've really realized during this time in our regular communication with our high school counselors that they need our support. They are eager to help their students enroll, but it is very difficult for them to manage their day-to-day operations while helping students individually. Prior to the crisis, of course, we could set up a group event where we would go to the school and help them out, and no real work would be required on the counselor's part. But now students are reaching out to their counselors because that's who they know, and they're asking us for help, and we certainly want to provide that. So rather than having the larger live events on Facebook, we'll also be doing individual appointments for school groups. And then for our admissions process, we used to require STAR, which was Student Advising and Registration. For all first-time students, it's a mandatory in-person orientation. Of course, that is not the case anymore. So we have now transitioned to distance advising, which is an interactive Canvas course monitored by academic advisors. During that session, students are able to learn all of the details of how to navigate their MyOTC account, how to register for classes, plan out their classes, and get ready to go for being a student. I think that's something that has been quite the transition for us. That was something we used for students who were located, hundreds of miles away from OTC and did not have the means to come to campus at the time. And now it's being used by all students. So it's certainly something we're navigating, but students seem to be enjoying it, and I think it is helping them on at least get their feet on the ground as they start to get this college journey. And then finally, just turning to our overall enrollment marketing strategy, we have, like Carrie had said, we have eliminated our online course fee, which used to be $65 per course. Of course, students for summer are not having that option, so we are taking away that fee. We are also encouraging students to register for a future semester. So focusing on those current students, we're doing another all-student call campaign this week. So, of course, when this is over, I have about 100 phone calls that I need to make, but literally. But I am excited to connect with those students and, just reach out to see what we can do to help them and make sure that they're doing okay as we make that last big push for the semester. And then we've also developed a COVID-19 scholarship where we're giving away 200 scholarships of $500 for students affected by the pandemic. This could be students who have had a loss of income, students who are now taking care of children, homeschooling them at home. This is just our way of letting our students know that their dreams don't have to be on hold. We are here for them, and we want them to continue their education and to see them succeed. Despite all of the uncertainty and difficulty of these times, we want them to keep moving forward, and we want to help them however we can. And then I would say our overall strategy as we focus on our applicants and prospective students is really, rather than doing large recruitment type pushes, we are of course doing our traditional marketing of postcards and digital ad campaigns, stuff like that, but we're really focusing on narrowing that gap in the admissions funnel between applicants and those who have actually enrolled. We want to cut those drops that happen traditionally. And so trying to narrow that gap and help as many applicants that we already have in our pipeline get to enrollment. And we've done this by instituting personal admissions representatives. We didn't have this prior to COVID-19, although it was in the works. But now every applicant upon admission is assigned a personal admissions representative to where they are able to, when they apply, they are assigned a representative and they receive a track of communication from that representative, and it just gives them an important touch point. They know who they can reach out to for help. And we currently have 21 admissions reps from across the college who are volunteers that assist our students with that, and that has been extremely successful. And then finally, I would just say we're looking into a CRM purchase. We don't currently have one. This is something that we've known for a long time we need. We're very good at communicating at OTC. I feel like we have great internal communication, but a CRM will truly give us a holistic view of the student life cycle and allow us not only to have a better narrative to recruiting students, but also for our retention efforts as well. So those are just some things that are on the horizon for us, and I'll throw it back to Kaylin.
Thank you so much. And now we will start with our questions. Again, if you have any questions, please type them in the Q&A box. Our first is kind of a comment, but I'll hand it over to the presenters if they do have anything that they have to, if they have a response. Not having partnering departments like financial aid, advising, et cetera, processes and communications in place to make sure students don't hit walls when traveling through our internal processes.
So I think what I would say is, I mean, this is a perfect time to have the conversations that need to happen to get those things done. And this is Matt from St. Louis Community College. I think that especially in situations where you don't have a one-stop center, really reaching out to folks, especially ones on the front lines, bringing everybody together and reviewing that process. I mean, there's no reason why this pandemic, in a way, can't make the processes and the systems that we use to serve students even better in a way. Like, we should be able to now do some things and move some things to online platforms that in all honesty, we probably should have, for the past couple of years, and it's really forced us to do that. So I think, getting all those folks together and looking at ways to be able to do that, I think you're going to see vendors pop up left and right now to being able to bring a lot of things, forward to a fully online format to get things across.
Thank you, Matt. I'll move on to the next question. Carrie, how do you create virtual campus visits? You mentioned it's in the works. When campus is closed and visually look like a ghost town?
So that's a good question. So that is a goal that we have the second that we get back on campus. And if you want to look at a really well done campus visit, I would go to CMO's webpage because they are fantastic. We've done as much as we can remotely, so we luckily did have an aerial tour already on our website and some really nice pictures. But when we get back on campus, we're going to utilize our mascot and some of our student leaders and try to get back into those buildings and do a little bit more detail. And we want to do that as soon as possible because we anticipate, potentially a resurgence of COVID-19 in the fall, potentially additional closures. So it's something we're going to have to wait until we're back in the office to really complete.
Thank you. Okay, I'll move on to the next question. Do you think there is an opportunity for an organized statewide message that could be used by all 12 of the community colleges?
This is Matt from St. Louis Community College. I was going to say I think it's a good time. I also, to be quite frank, I think this is a time where the messaging starts to come out that the importance of community colleges and two-year institutions. One of the things that we were putting together for the Missouri Admissions Counselors conference that was canceled was an ad just talking about community colleges and the benefits of them, and really getting us out of that 13th grade mindset that a lot of people unfortunately still have. I think this is the perfect time for an organization as well as a group of institutions to really come out and push that and push the importance of community colleges to the community, to the nation, to our society.
This is Carrie. I agree with what Matt said, and I think, the advocacy through MCCA is really important. And as I mentioned, we're really working on collaborating with other institutions. Our admissions representative just finished a presentation with Southeast Missouri State University and St. Louis Community College to help guide prospective high school students through the transfer process. So emphasizing all the benefits of going to a community college in a general setting and then how they transfer to a four-year. And so I think there's a lot of opportunities for that messaging and for that collaboration.
Thanks so much. I have a question for OTC. In regards to the scholarships, this is an amazing idea. Is this a school-funded scholarship, or are you able to redistribute the Federal CARE Act funds? I hope that makes sense.
Yes, this is Jordan. And that totally makes sense. That is not redistributing the CARES Act funds. That is completely separate. This is a school-funded scholarship. So that is something that we've been fortunate enough to be able to do. And I would also say that this is just piggybacking on what Matt and Carrie were talking about with the combined message. I think we are going to see, as we move forward, of course, as we did in 2007, 2008 with that recession, we're going to see another push for technical education, especially with a push to bring manufacturing to the U.S. We're seeing the problems with the supply chain, and I think we're going to have a big push for manufacturing to come back to the U.S. So I could see community colleges really stepping up in that moment to fill that gap and make sure that we're training the workers we're going to need.
Thank you. And I'll go on to the next question. Can you talk a little bit more about chat? What service you use, recommend, and have the chatbots been successful?
I'll jump in real quick. This is Matt from St. Louis Community College. We use the platform called Library Help, but the E is actually the number 3 on there, and you'll see it in the item that, or the slide that I have. We've found it very, very useful. It's very easy. It's not only easy for our staff to utilize, and the training was very minimal, but it's easy for students. They don't have to log in or anything. They just type in their question, and then we work with them.
Great, thank you. Are you using a vendor for virtual campus tours like UVisit?
This is Carrie. We are not, but that gives me a really good idea. I'm gonna look into that after this presentation.
So a presenter learns.
This is Jessica.
Exactly.
This is Jessica from MCC. For our virtual tours, we're just mainly using Zoom with an admissions presentation to kind of discuss what's going on around campus. I think we're going to explore options on how to actually truly get the virtual component, but as of right now, we don't have that. So I concur. I piggyback off that. Thank you.
Okay, I'll move on to the next question. Matt, has the stay close to home marketing strategy shown any results yet?
We are getting a positive movement we can see from our social media aspects of that. So when I work with our marketing gurus, they are able, they have all the data on how many students have clicked on that, how many people are pulling it up on Instagram, Facebook, and all of that, and so we're doing well on there. I will say, in terms of our enrollment numbers, it's hard in this aspect to draw a direct parallel, right? So a student could have seen a billboard, they could have seen a whole bunch of different things, or could have had messaging to them that made them make a decision to invest in us or take an interest to us. But I think mainly we've seen steady movement there, but we're looking to, as these postcards drop later this month, we're looking to see more numbers come in from there.
Great, thank you. How have students reacted to the telephone contact? Any up or down trends with email communication with students?
This is Jessica with MCC. It's been pretty positive. I think they appreciate hearing from us individually, not only from the ones they already know, but actually new people, because we're having just other individuals able to reach out with our calling campaigns. And at MCC, we already had a little bit set up the expectation to be reached by phone. So it's not kind of out of the ordinary. So in a way, I think they have responded positively again, because then it's like, oh, this is just like regular. We're going to keep moving forward. So even though everything's really disruptive, oh, you're ready to go and you know those changes that are happening. So for us, I think for the most part, it's been pretty positive and they definitely answer. And by the way, that's why I cut out earlier speaking of the phone. I had a student call me at the very, very end. So that was on me. It interrupted. So we're setting up a phone appointment for later. So yeah, so far it's been pretty positive.
And this is Carrie from Jefferson College. We've actually seen a greater response to our call-a-thons, and more students want to talk to us now that we're remote. They really do appreciate that personal connection. And something that we've been talking about in marketing is that in this transition to the virtual world, we still have a large population of students who are most comfortable with the phone. And so we definitely want to continue to offer that as an option for students that might not have internet access or might not be comfortable in that virtual setting. But it's been actually very positive response that we have received from students.
This is Jordan from OTC. I would just piggyback on all of that just to say we have also seen a very positive response to our call campaigns. I think students like to know that we are here for them, that we support them, we're thinking about them, and want to make sure that they're getting the help they need. I think something that we've been heading for as an institute is to try to get that holistic view of the student to really know what's going on with them. And of course, when you ask students what is going on, they're going to tell you. So now we're learning to manage that and doing some case management as we learn what resources are needed with our students. And it's something that I would just say that we are very happy to be doing and excited to continue in the future. I think that is something we want to note from this whole crisis is that there are many lessons to be learned about things we should have been doing all along, that we're now learning are great strategies. And we're going to continue doing them regardless of what format we're offering courses and however we are serving our students, that we've really picked up some good trends that we want to continue on with in the future.
Thank you. Do your institutions offer developmental courses online? Has COVID-19 changed your institution's policies around offering of developmental courses online? I can move on to the next question. If a presenter would like to touch on that after this question, feel free to jump back to it. Here's the next one. Have your institutions started having conversations around the 10 to 15% nationwide projected drop in students attending and returning to college, and what that means for the college?
This is Matt at St. Louis Community College. What I can tell you is that has been a conversation piece for the college's leadership team, certainly the Chancellor and our Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs and Associate Vice Chancellor. And again, one of the things that's interesting to me is we're in this pandemic and enrollment is challenging, but even had the pandemic not happened, enrollment's still a challenge. And so we're continuing to have those discussions at the leadership level to see how we can address short-term training for folks and potentially even working with our workforce side of the house to develop some quick programs that students could get through and be credentialed and then be able to enter the workforce pretty quickly once things get back going strong.
And this is Carrie from Jefferson, and to echo what Matt said, yes, we were already addressing dips in enrollment. The separation of admissions from enrollment services was a response to that. And then we are also really in admissions trying to partner with our workforce development office and create some pathways for students. Maybe they start at non-credit programs and then move over to the credit side of the house. So we had already been having these discussions, and I think the pandemic has just accelerated our efforts to address these enrollment shortfalls.
This is Jessica from MCC. I'll just address the developmental course online question real quick. So at least at MCC, that would be more of a decision with our instructional side on what they will offer online and not. I will tell you this summer we are already geared to be this distance or remote learning environment, if you will. So we do have reading, English, and math developmental courses offered with remote learning. That's not quite online because we already have full degrees online as well. And I personally have not heard of any big change like that. I think if that were offered, I would hope they would definitely let admissions know as possible, because I know sometimes that's a barrier for some of our students, especially if they test into certain levels and they already in their head wanted to do all online classes and trying to figure out, well, how do I take this additional course in person? So on a positive note, I think if we're going to say this creates opportunity, this may have created an opportunity to have more of that remote learning option for those students who truly need to be completely online or distance education. So as of right now, no, the policies haven't changed. However, I'd like to think this has created opportunities for other options.
Thanks so much for touching on that. I don't see any more questions, so I'll go and wrap this up. If you do have a question, please feel free to still type it in the Q&A box, and I can stop my closing and we can go back to your question. I want to thank everyone for joining us, and a huge thank you to our presenters. They jumped in on this opportunity today to share their expertise and work quickly to get the information to you all this week. We will be sending a recording of today's webinar to everyone that registered via email, so be on the lookout. It will also be posted on our website. You can learn more about our webinar series on our site, mccatoday.org, and click on the coronavirus banner at the top of the page. These webinars are completely complimentary, so please share with others. We are developing these in real time, so there might be some changes. You can check into our website often. And of course, we will send you a notification if there is a change. Our next session, Overcoming Enrollment Obstacles, is on Tuesday, April 28th at 12:45 p.m. Please connect with us if there is any other way we can serve you during this time. We have also created an online forum you can access through your member portal. You can share and gain useful resources at this time. Again, you can share today's experience on social using hashtags MCCA webinar, Better Together in COVID-19. I see no more questions, so I'll go ahead and close it out. Thank you all once again, and have a great day.